I'm up on my feet sometimes, but
Yeah.
the most of my day is just in a chair.
Yeah.
And it's not like the best chair for my posture either. It's like one of those chairs. I don't even know, just a old office chair.
My sister asked me what I wanted for Christmas, and I was like, a new office chair. Because mine is, oh my God,
Dude, it can get expensive.
it's in bad sorts. Yeah, I was looking online. A bunch of people suggested the IKEA one. There's like a specific one from IKEA. But
You could look into like a yoga ball.
that too, but my desk is at a weird height.
You
It's-
work from home?
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
Oh, you do work
Yeah,
from home.
yeah,
Oh,
exclusively,
got you.
essentially.
Got you. Do you take like phone calls and stuff like right from home?
It sucks sometimes because like,
so that's the customer service you're talking
dude.
about earlier.
And I'll wake up because like I'll have shifts that start at 7 a.m. So I'm like waking up,
Oh, yeah,
and then people
sure.
are already calling like, why is this the way it is? And I'm like, I don't know. I
Are
don't know
you
what to tell
only talking to people that call because they have a problem?
Essentially,
Oh,
yeah.
interesting.
Which is it's tough sometimes.
Well,
Well,
it's
okay.
all related to Wantable's kind of customer.
Yeah, it's like
customer base.
this essentially the only like the most appealing part of that job, and the reason that I wanted it in the first place is that it is remote. So like if I'm traveling, like I have plans to visit my friend Cole out in DC. I could stay there for weeks at a time.
Oh,
you know what
dude,
I mean? And I could
what?
just work from there. And since it's on the East
That's
Coast, where
so
they're an hour
nice,
ahead,
man.
right?
Yes.
So technically, if like my shift starts at 7, it'd be 8 there, and if I acclimate to like that
Oh,
time
sure,
zone,
right?
then it's like I get an extra hour.
So
know what
you
I
can
mean?
move to Europe and then
No, it's funny because like they're pretty accommodating with that, whereas other jobs obviously like if you have to go somewhere, like if you have to be somewhere physically,
Yeah.
it's not, you got to take time off to travel. But like they said, oh yeah, we had someone who like went to Hawaii for a couple months, and we just
Couple months?
Yeah, they were just working from Hawaii.
Damn,
yeah,
dude.
so like I have plans to visit like many friends
Whoa.
in many places to and just like stay. That's the fun thing, is that if I really wanted to, and obviously travel circumstances and the person that I'm staying with permitting,
Right.
I could just buy a one-way ticket.
It'd be interesting to like
know?
calculate it out. Like I don't know how much you make. You don't have to say it on there.
It's
if you
it's
want.
like it's a decent amount. It's like more than I've made before.
Okay. But like if you calculate out like an Airbnb to how many nights
That's
it
the fun
is,
part
and
too.
how
'Cause-
how much is food? If
Exactly.
you calculate it down, you could like live anywhere.
Yeah, dude. And that's the fun part about Airbnbs in particular, is that they get cheaper the longer you stay. Like
right.
the weekend stays, they can charge whatever they want.
Right.
But if you like plan it out for like weeks at a time,
Yeah,
But
because they
it's-
prefer it because
exactly.
so long.
Exactly. But
Hell
yeah.
yeah, dude. I'm jealous.
And no, don't be.
Oh, dude, you can literally move wherever.
Yeah,
it's a lot
but-
of freedom.
It's like
American dream.
American dream for sure. But it's, I don't know. There's a cost. There's a there's a balance to everything. So
Then you
like,
can't be in Milwaukee to do shows.
say again?
You can't be in Milwaukee to do shows.
Exactly.
you
If
know?
I'm traveling for a long time, that's why I'm not worried about any of that till after,
Yeah.
after we're done putting everything out, and
For sure.
you know,
It'll take some time.
yeah,
Yeah.
probably summer of next year.
Hello, everyone. This is Eli, by the way.
Hello.
I think each time now, I'm going to see how long I can go
You can have
before
yeah.
introducing. Because I don't know. I like to just jump in right into the conversation.
felt
I've
that.
said this on like the last 2 podcasts, and like, I don't know if I should do the intros because I feel kind of awkward.
Yeah, I mean,
This is Eli, the bassist of Bug Moment.
yeah. Hello.
Because it's literally on the YouTube thing, and then also
Right.
in the intro that I put out. So I don't know.
Right,
Just learning
right.
as I go.
No, yeah, and that's my favorite way to learn. So
Yep.
Yeah.
So how's it going? What's new?
it's going. Not too much is new. Just working on recording.
Yeah.
We're putting out a song, I think, next Friday, which is
Badass.
exciting. We being Bug Moment, obviously.
Yep.
But yeah, other than that, just working.
Staying
Typical
busy.
Yeah, typical day to day.
How far are you guys on the album now?
Sheesh. Right now we're at the point where we've got pretty much every track set. I like, my philosophy approaching the album has been put everything down and then afterward listen through it. So not like like a couple grades above a scratch track, you know what I mean? So like essentially like the writing process, rough draft. So we've got pretty much all the rough drafts set. Everything is recorded for the most part, I believe. We still have to record one song, but that was like the most recent song that we, wrote.
Okay.
So it's just doing that. And then I want there to be a process where we all sit down with all of the rough drafts, listen through them, find what we want to add, what we'd like to subtract, things we want to polish.
So like the rough drafts, is that still a template that you build off of, or do you like completely start from scratch after listening through the rough drafts as like a demo?
Yeah. Yes.
Or do you take those and build off of those in the same like software?
I'd say more so that.
Yeah.
Because we're recording with my cousin Sterling, drummer for Moonglow.
Yep. Shout out Sterling.
Shout out Sterling. Shout out Moonglow. You should have the Moonglow guys on this podcast.
I'm working on it.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if like, oh man, I would
have any of those guys.
The concept of a group interview is kind of like, that's like more work on your part for sure, and I don't know how you'd navigate that or approach that, but I think that could be so fun.
Dude, I know. I've been working. I was gonna have Lunar Moss full band because they were gonna bring over 4 like audio interface kind of thing and 2 extra mics.
Right.
But yeah, I'm interested in like trying to figure out to get like the full band. I have the Yeti mic I could just set in the middle of the table,
right.
I want to have the headphones on because then people aren't talking over each other.
Exactly, and everyone knows what everything sounds like.
And I want it to be a free-flowing conversation. We'll get there.
For sure. But he's so for the first EP, Gray and Jasmine recorded everything on like Gray's laptop. Very DIY.
Yep.
And for this one, I suggested going through my cousin because he has years and years of audio engineering experience, has a degree in it. He was producing since like his early teens, if not before then. Like just on his laptop, messing around with Ableton and like Audacity way back in the day.
Yep.
So I also like really trust his taste and his like ear for things.
Sure.
Because he has a very meticulous approach to everything that he does in regards to music, which always results in a polished product, whether or not he's willing to admit it. Because he's really hard on himself. But he's cracked, as the kids would say.
He's gonna get you what you guys are looking for.
Exactly, and then some. Like when Moonglow was recording their debut album, just listening to how many times he'd comb over one track, because it's like a wall away, and I'd hear this track from like 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. like for days on end, where he's just tweaking various like frequencies and making sure everything's like mixed properly.
Yep. So you recording with him, or is he just mixing it?
Everything he's doing at this point, which is like super gracious of him, and we're gonna pay him handsomely.
Yeah,
but yeah, he's
get the cousin discount.
Yeah, no, I don't want to give him the cousin discount. Sure. I want to pay him what he's worth because he's worth a lot, and people need to low key, like in the Milwaukee music scene, they need to catch on to like what he's capable of because he is like. And I'm not just saying that because he's my cousin.
He produces some stuff with Clayton too.
He did indeed. He produced a lot of my favorite songs of his.
222, I think he did.
I know Clayton's a frequent collaborator with Casey as well, but there was like the 3 of them.
Okay.
On a lot of tracks. Again, Clayton was my roommate. A lot of nights where I just hear them doing shit through the walls. You know what I mean? I'm just like, I get a sneak peek of this before it gets put out. But,
I wish I had to come over when y'all were living there. That'd be a fun house.
Dude,
kick it
yeah.
Lots of creatives.
Yeah, man, that was like, it's crazy how like the artistic evolution that I've underwent over the past year. Because like I had big plans for like photography and working with
man. Yeah.
Like Loki, who also shout out Loki. He is that work ethic that he has is like unparalleled. I haven't seen as many, like I've very seldom seen people who work as hard as him and like he's like very teachable and very coachable and he always wants to learn.
Yeah.
And I was just listening to a podcast earlier today about Confucianism. And the dude said that one of the qualities that Confucius had. This is a really weird tangent.
Oh no, I'm keeping up. Yeah.
But shout out to Jacob Slade for putting me on to philosophize this.
Cool.
But he said one of the qualities of Confucianism that set him apart was that he had a hunger for learning. And I think that Loki has that same quality, and that's why like I have no doubt that he's going to be successful in whatever he does.
He's a student.
And same with like Willie, like Bridger, all those people involved in that, Nick as well. The people involved in that studio, they're ridiculous. Like they pump things out constantly. Shout out to like the people that worked on Yellow Weekends too, like Ian, Michael, Ethan, all those people. Eli or Ellie rather.
Yeah. Eleazar.
Yeah. But so I don't even know how we got on that point. But,
Yeah, man, we're just like surrounded by the
dude.
dopest people
Yeah.
who are all just setting examples for each other.
Yeah,
So
that was a trip,
fucking
huh?
cool.
Recording
Yellow Weekends.
Yeah, recording.
Dude,
Yellow
yeah,
Weekends,
it was cool because I knew you, but we got like more tight through that.
It's funny. The only reason I was invited to help out with that is because Moonglow had a show at a house on Newberry, like right next to Goodwill, kind of.
Sure.
And Michael showed up like after the show, and he was just like hanging around, and we were talking about something, and then he's just like, I like the words you use, man. Like, he's like,
See, that does sound like
yeah. He was like, I like your vocabulary. And then he was talking about how he's recording this film, and I was like, oh, that's really cool. And at the time, like, obviously, I was like, I was there to shoot Moonglow, like the pictures, you know. I was doing the concert photography gig, so I was like, yeah, if you ever need another like an extra camera, just let me know. And he was like, yeah, for sure. And then that's how we got in contact. And then lo and behold, you know.
Dude, yeah, you just showed up at that house that one night. I don't even remember which one. But.
Oh, that was when they were recording. It was Luca. Shout out to Luca as well. Shout out everybody that worked on Yellow Weekends. That was
Shout out Yellow Weekends, honestly. And if you're watching this will be before the premiere at No Studios. It's DIY Milwaukee film. I acted in myself.
Yeah, lead role. Debut role as well.
Man, that was so much fun. I cannot even believe we did that. Like, I'll see pictures and think I'll forget about it now.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
And that's a blessing, low key. Because I feel like the only reason you're forgetting about it is because so much has happened since then.
Yeah, keeping it moving.
Like that week last summer was crazy, especially for
nuts,
you.
Man.
Yeah. The Yellow Weekends debut. That was that night
Wednesday.
Was a movie. You know what I mean?
It was cinematic. Man.
Yeah, exactly.
It literally was.
Which was like, you know, I was a tearjerker. I was really proud of everyone involved. And then. Like the same weekend or like the next week was your
Saturday.
album. Yeah, your album release, which was the most fun I've had playing a show.
Yeah, man.
You know,
two sold out shows in a.
Yeah, one at fucking. Am I?
Yeah, you can swear.
Okay,
I'm going fuck.
One at goddamn Downer Theater, and the next one at fucking Collectivo Backroom. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was talking to the Bugs about it, but you opened the door for like local acts at the back room, and everyone has taken their turn kicking that down ever since. Like, you really like escorted like a lot of bands
like
into that space.
Bills.
Yeah, which is crazy because like you made sure that the entire lineup was local bands, which is like really cool. And now Scam's about to play there in January. You played there with North Warren. Diet Light, I think, is going to play there as well. Or they're
on Scam Likely's bill.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then we're going to play there in spring?
I think it's announced.
Okay, well...
I don't think the date's announced. We're
going to play there in spring.
Yep.
So thanks, I think, from everyone in the Milwaukee music community, especially the bands. Thanks.
Couldn't be more grateful.
Yeah.
I would shout out also fellow Kinsman, Nate Kinsman. Yeah. Before COVID, maybe even around like when things were opening up, he's always been a local act, doing like stuff with Sleepy Gaucho too.
Yeah.
And those guys have been always like... I always felt like far away from them as far as like they were in the scene before even I was. Really looked up to what they're doing. But also some badass motherfuckers in the Milwaukee scene playing the back room.
Yeah, it's crazy to see how many people like cut their teeth on this scene and are still around and like well respected by everybody. And like now this new crop is, blooming, in season. Like you're
insane. Shout out Pabst Theater Group for
dude.
And Kit, man, for
really, shout out Kit as
really
well.
Pushing us, man.
Yeah, I appreciate
really
the fuck out of
us these opportunities.
How crazy was that Pabst show?
The Pabst
Theater?
Yeah, dude. That was a crazy night for both of us.
Yeah,
dude. That was the night I even found out you played bass because we were doing sound check. I was like, you play bass?
Yeah, I was. That's crazy. I could like technically say, I played at the Pabst.
So
no one was there, but I played at the Pabst.
Are you still doing photography and stuff,
dude?
now?
I literally have set down my camera once I started playing because gosh darn Jasmine. Honeypotted me away from that craft because they were originally they had approached me again at a Moonglow show. It's like going to these Moonglow shows, low key, like go to Moonglow shows. They will, they're rife with opportunity.
Definitely.
But she approached me at a Moonglow show at Cactus Club and was like, yo, do you want to fill in on bass for a couple of shows? And I was like, yeah, for sure. So I was just thinking this would be like a fun thing to do for like, you know, a couple of shows. And then they just kept adding shows onto like my tenure. And I was like, all right. Like,
what is this going to happen?
Yeah. And then eventually like Jasmine had to text me like, and this was probably, I don't know how many shows deep this was, like maybe like 10 or so. And she's like, dude, you're in the band. And I was like, what? And she's like, yeah, like, you're in the band. Yeah. Like, you're the bassist now. And I was like, all right. And then ever since then. Like,
wanted to see if you could get past show number 10.
Yeah. Dude, there was a baptism by fire as well. Because, like, I've been playing music for a long time. Like, I've been playing instruments for, like, not most of my life, but, like, for a good amount of time now.
Yeah.
Like, over half my life. And I had never played in front of anyone until that show, and I only had like 2 weeks notice.
Really?
Yeah. Never ever had I like been involved with any acts or like ever played publicly, and then they're like, all right, Oscillator Lounge.
You got thrown into it.
Yeah. And they're like, play bass for us. And we just went over and like, again, like I taught myself. So like you sent over, because you used to play bass, right? Yep. So you sent your notes. Yeah, your notes, and they're like, oh, like G, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, dude, I don't know what that means. So I was like, you just play and I'll just figure it out. And then like I listened to like songs that you played on, like Lagoon. And then I listened to like some of the recordings that you guys had put together, and then just figured it out on my own. Like it was all happening with like Aiden, Jasmine, and Gray all around me. And I like, again, at this point I didn't know them very well. Like the only run-in I had with them was again at a Moonglow show. There's a theme here.
A different Moonglow.
Yeah. At Anodyne, where Bug Moment opened for them, and I took photos of them just because I was like around, you know. And then like a year after that is when Jasmine came up to me at a show and was like, hey, play bass for us.
Dude, it feels like the vibe is just so right. It was so seamless.
Yeah.
It seems like it happened really fast.
It did. Yeah. And I kind of had to, you know, stop my head from spinning because it was happening so fast. But yeah, it's taken me places I never thought I'd go. Like we went on a tour with Scam to Green Bay, Rochester, Madison, Chicago. Like I've played in places and venues that I've like been to before, like as a spectator and as a photographer. And now I'm like on the stage, and it's like all these like full circle moments happening one after another. So it's it's just fun. I'm just having a good time. I'm not thinking about it too much.
I'm glad you're a part of it.
Like, yeah, me too.
In the band part of it instead of just a photographer.
It's just I've been adjacent to it for so long. Like I met you when I was a freshman in college, I think, or a sophomore.
I think we were both like sophomores or something.
Yeah, at a house show, Hawaiian night.
Hawaiian house show.
Absolutely. Yeah. So like I've been around these people for a long time. Like back when Dog Bad was you know playing a lot of shows. And I saw them at a basement show with Dog Bad. That's when I met Isaac and and I think
Joe was there too.
Yeah, I think I met him that night as well.
Joe did a solo set with Isaac, I'm pretty sure. That was like the early stages of Commodore Calypso.
Yeah, dude.
Which turned into
That's
Moonglow.
crazy that you remember that name. Like that's how I know that the real fans is like, oh, do you remember when they were Commodore
Calypso?
Yeah.
Yep.
But I remember those early days because that's when we were living on Arlington, me and my cousin, or my cousin and I rather.
Sure.
And I just remember like sitting in my room like after school or like as I'm winding down from like getting home from work, and then I just hear this voice through the walls again.
Right.
It's just like, you know what I mean? And I'm like, golly, who's this dude doing like full musical theater acts? Like this dude has a powerful ass voice. And then, you know, this just like little redheaded dude like walks out. He's like, hey. You know?
And I'm like, neighbors with him?
No. He'd just been recording with Sterling at that time.
Oh, sure.
That was like in the early like conceptual days. You know what I mean? So I'm hearing this belting voice, just like strong voice carrying through the walls. And I'm like, golly, who's this guy? And then I meet this dude, and he's so cool. And then we had philosophy classes together as well. So like,
interesting. Yeah. Dude, I want to have Joe on. I want to have Sterling on. I want to have fucking Isaac on.
Dude, that's like why I'm so like keen on the idea of a group interview is because they're every single member of that band, Joe, Sterling, Isaac, Brent, Tyler, they're like all their own like brand of quiet genius.
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? Like Tyler is just like, hey man, like it's chill. And then he whips out the sax and just fucking Like, it's crazy.
Yeah, when they're all together, it's fucking electric.
Yeah, and then Isaac's like this like dude who's just there for a good vibe, like doing his brand, his dance, Yeah. And then like he's just like super, super personable, like there for everybody, and then he goes on stage and just fucking rips. Like, I don't know if you were there at the Cactus Club show where Moonglow covered War Pigs by Black Sabbath.
I think I heard of it.
Oh my God.
When was that?
That was that had to be last summer.
Okay, I remember Isaac saying something about that. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, but regardless, it's just like seeing the dichotomy. Like, Brent's this super like chill dude, and he's just like, that makes a lot of sense to me, because like the chill dude who's like, hey man, and then he just like fucking locked into the groove. You know what I mean? Man. That made sense to me. And then like Joe, just like, dude, I was like, having debating in the workplace of ideas, the ideologies, battling ideologies with him in philosophy class, and then he goes on stage and just commands respect with his voice and with his presence, and then he's like making funny quips in between songs.
Oh, dude, I love his stage presence. His crowd work is so funny too.
Yeah,
I love his.
Yeah, his brand of humor too, like really gels with mine. So like, I love having conversations with him. And then you got Sterling, who obviously, I know the best.
Keeps it locked down.
Oh my God,
keeps it locked down.
And he's been keeping it locked down for way longer than a lot of people realize. Like, he's his own brand of quiet genius. Like I said, he's super like just a good egg. Yeah, good mind.
Yeah, we're playing with Moonglow.
Fuck yeah,
December 10th.
Yeah, at the back room.
At the back room.
Oh man, I gotta be there.
Back at the back room, man.
And here's like my struggle now as like an ex concert photographer, still a concert photographer.
Yeah, I wouldn't shut that door.
It's just like now that all like my friends are getting these really cool opportunities, I want to go to their shows and I want to provide them with like pictures, but I also just want to be there as like a supporter, a spectator, and just not worry about anything aside from enjoying the moment. Totally. You know what I mean? So
there's some type of like, I don't want to say stress, but another type of commitment when you're doing photos.
Exactly. And that's like something I found myself torn between, especially as I was taking photos of the dudes from Tigera.
Sure. Yeah.
Also, fantastic fucking band. Oh my
such a
God.
Fun show.
Oh my God. Last show I think I saw them on, they were like right in between like the bank and like, what was it? What's that sandwich with Potbelly? Like right across from the Cat Cafe, right near Black Cat Alley.
Yeah.
In the summer. And they were just tearing it down.
At the
Summer solstice.
Summer solstice.
Yeah.
Yep.
They were killing. Yeah. They're, man, and every dude in that band, super solid.
Oh, dude, like, they're so nice.
They're so nice.
I love those guys.
So
the show we did with them at New Barons early last summer was so fun, man.
Dude,
we played right before them, and then they played at the end, and they're just such a good band to just dance to and just jam out. Yeah. I got pretty drunk.
Yeah. I don't know. They set a really good tone. And they're also, I don't know. They can literally be anywhere they want in the lineup. They can do whatever they want. Like have
you heard of that music village that they kind of
Yeah. I went to one of their events like midsummer.
Okay.
Where it's literally just like a bunch of musicians and local bands that you all like sit down, you wear name tags, and then you just you just drink and like have a like talk.
They do those on Thursday nights maybe, or like once a month. I could never make the
Wednesdays or Thursdays,
or Tuesdays. I know we have band.
Yeah,
I don't know. It was just conflicting whenever they were going on in the summer, but I haven't heard of it in a while.
Just solid dudes with a solid vision as well. Like, I was sitting talking to Alex. He has like a very vested interest in like the Milwaukee music scene,
dude. Yeah,
and like wants nothing but good things, and that goes for everyone. I'm certain.
Yep.
So. I don't know. They're just really solid guys and like fucking stellar performers.
Oh my God, yeah.
Like every time I watch them, I'm just like having the best time.
Dude, it was sweet. The first show I played with them was at a Marquette show. It was a kind of a charity showcase, and like no one really came. It was like one of those, just a random night, not really well promoted. I fucking love Marquette Radio though. They really push the like music scene, especially for like the because Marquette doesn't really have like a really solid scene, but I think of Marquette Radio over there, and they're really like trying to do new things with the radio thing they've been doing lately.
Scam just played on there.
Yeah. But yeah, we played a show with Tigera, and man, I was sitting by those guys in the back and like watching the performers, and Caitlin Pico was on that bill too.
Yeah.
And they're all just so nice,
dude.
Man. I just met them, and I was a little anxious that night. But yeah, it was like about a year ago.
Yeah.
It was cool.
Most solid dudes.
It's funny, dudes. Ben and the bassist, Cody.
Cody, yeah.
They both work at shout out, what's the guitar shop in Walker's Point? Not Wade's, but it's crap. But they both work there.
Yeah, I know. I know what you're talking about.
The guitar shop on Fifth Street. What is it called? It's somebody's name. I want to say something's guitar shop. But every time I walk in there, those guys are just kicking it. We always chop it up.
And then Ben's dad's always in the audience as well.
Really?
Yeah. You haven't met him yet?
No.
Yeah, but like his parents go to a lot of the shows, and they're super into it, which is always nice to see.
Nice.
Like they're supporting the fuck out of their son.
They bring a crowd together.
Yeah. I mean, shit. Like it's kind of hard not to when you're playing the kind of music that they're playing at the level that they're playing it, with the consistency that they're playing it with as well. And that's something that I'll harp on about forever, and I'll tell them after every show is like, how the fuck are you guys good all the time?
Oh, they're so tight.
It makes no sense.
They don't even play along to a click, but it sounds like they do.
That's what I'm saying. You know? Dale holding it down. Everybody's holding it down.
Did you say Dale holding it?
Yeah, Dale.
Yeah, okay. I was going to say, that's fun. I thought you said like they all, like
Dale.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's funny because the drummer's name is Dale.
Yeah. But yeah, no.
Shout out to Tigera. I say Tigera.
It's interchangeable for me. I mean, Tigera.
Those guys are cool. I feel like I don't see them enough because I picture them over in like the Bayview area, and it just feels so far for some reason. Yeah. But whenever they're in River West, I try to see them. They did that show with y'all at Company Brewing.
Yeah, you walked past. You were watching through the gate.
Yeah, but then I came in.
That was a wild show. I think everyone in the band, I don't remember exactly what the circumstances were, but we were all wiped. I think we had a really late show the night prior.
Dude, what was the night before? I want to say I was with you. I was just talking to Aiden about this.
Yeah.
We were all together, I think, the night before.
It was some show or something. Yeah. But like we were all like up late and we were like partying a little bit, and then the next day it's like an early show.
That wasn't Jazz's birthday party, was
it? It might have been.
Was it summer though? I feel like Jasmine doesn't have.
Oh no, it wasn't. You're right. Because I remember what I was wearing.
It was a late night.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But yeah.
Man, many good nights. More to come.
Dude, the music scene here is like so tight. Yeah. Especially like for bands in particular. Like, I don't know.
When saying that too, like I've been really trying to figure out how to be more like inviting to like people, because I'd imagine that it would be kind of intimidating if we are all so close from like an outsider's perspective, you know? So I always try to keep that in mind too, of like, it is so tight and it's fucking, I love it. But I also want to be like not gatekeepy.
Yeah, we actually, Bugman just played a show with Anita Velveeta, and they're from, I believe, I want to say Minnesota.
Anita Velveeta.
Yeah, right. They're like a hyper pop artist.
Okay.
She fucking murdered the show at Lilliput. It was like music.
Oh, sure. It was the Lilliput
show.
Yeah.
And it's like music that I don't listen to on a regular basis, but like the second they started performing, I was just like, hey, what the fuck? And I like turned to the stage and I was just encapsulated by it. But they specifically said, and I'm like, this is just a token for like the entire music community in Milwaukee, that like Milwaukee, and this is coming from an outsider, so it like means more to me. Like they were like, oh, it's like one of the most welcoming scenes I've ever like felt, and that's like, you know, credit you have to give to not only the people that played on the bill with them, but like the people that were there in attendance. Like,
oh, for sure,
super solid people.
Was that a fun show then?
It was a very fun show. Yeah, it was on Halloween the 31st, which was a.
Was it really?
It was, I believe. Or maybe it was on the Sunday. Maybe it was on the 30th.
I think it was on the 30th.
I may be dumb.
I remember...
Because Halloween was on a Monday and it was on a Sunday.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%.
Because you were at our show on the 31st.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was on the 30th. It was on the 30th. But yeah, and it was just really solid, and they appreciate it. I'm glad that they did, and I hope they come back. Like,
are they like... how many people in that band?
2. And the drummer's cracked.
Oh, so like
I didn't catch his name, but...
That's sick.
Yeah, but I don't know.
The hyperpop duos.
Yeah, both of them just fucking murdered their set. So
yep, from Minnesota.
Yeah, I believe so. I could be wrong.
Okay.
Don't quote me on that, but I think it was Minnesota.
Yep,
because I know that they had a drive.
Going back to like being like more like inviting, and I believe that the scene is. I think that if it does seem intimidating to anybody, like just try to get some shows. Like,
right.
I think it's pretty easier said than done to set up a show, but like Bremen Cafe is always booking.
Right.
And I know it might be tough if you don't know anyone that has a DIY kind of thing. But I think just putting in the work to like find some venues and like reaching out to people online can go really far. In Milwaukee, there's so many places you could play.
Yeah, agreed. I don't know. Hearing that coming from you is funny because I feel like you're one of the most welcoming people that
sure.
I've met just as a person. And that's like music stuff aside. Like you're just like no one has anything bad to say about you. Everyone sings your praises behind your back.
Thank you, man. But I feel like I'm my own worst critic, and that's always been the case growing up, as we all are.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't want that any other way. Like, it's better now than it ever has been as far as being really critical on like myself.
That's actually something I was thinking of on the way here, is that like there is a balance to be struck between being self-congratulatory and giving yourself credit and like being critical of yourself. And I think that's something that I've struggled with because I like keeping people around me that keep me honest. Because I feel like it's really easy for you to run away with things, especially when you're in like a space that we're in and like you occupy like the scene in any like capacity that is gratifying in any way. And I appreciate having people around me that like aren't overly congratulatory.
Yeah.
But sometimes I feel like that can lead to me being overly critical of myself because I don't know. Have you seen the movie Whiplash? With J.K. Simmons and Miles Teller. It's about the jazz drummer.
Okay.
You've definitely like heard of it. Most people have. But it's funny because like realistically the villain of that movie is the jazz teacher because he's really intense.
Okay.
Like incredibly intense. And like one of the quotes from that movie is like the most dangerous words that you can tell someone is good job. You know what I mean? Because like then they'll get complacent and then they won't like want to do better. And while I don't agree with that, so let's get that clear. I don't agree with that entirely. I do think that there's some truth in that sentiment because I don't know, and maybe that's just for me, but like my dad has like a similar ideology where he'll be like good job, but he doesn't spend too much time on that. He always wants to think of what you could have done better, even if you did a fantastic job. And I think that's why, I mean, he's an exceptional human being. So like I think that's why he is the way he is. Like no one will outwork him. So I think luckily part of that like rubbed off on me. Not as much as I would have liked, but he definitely like instilled in me like this sense of like, all right, that was good, but you know what I mean? Like what else could I do? Like how else can I like, you know, set myself apart? You know what I mean?
Totally. So. Yeah, dude, having people around you that keep you honest is everything. Those are like true homies because if they're a friend and they're lying to you about like what could help you in the end, I think that doesn't make a good friend in the end. It's
funny, the like weird duality of that is that you can have people around you that keep you honest, but like part of the onus of being kept honest is on the person who needs to be kept honest, if that makes sense. Because there are people that will keep you honest, but not everyone responds to that well.
Right.
To be fair, let me not...
Goes both ways.
I'm not conflating being honest with being an asshole. Because there are people that will critique you and be stupid about it. And I've fallen in that folly. I've been victim to that folly, or been my own victim of that folly before, but some like being good at taking criticism is a skill in its own right. And that's from like anybody. Because like some people aren't good at taking it, even from people who genuinely care about them. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that that's something that needs to be thought about more often. Depending, obviously. But it's something I have to remind myself of sometimes. It's like, is this person saying this because like, no one's saying it because they hate you. Because realistically, the people that hate you, they're going to do it behind your back. Most of them, at least. So like, when someone comes up to you and says like, hey, you could have done this better, don't take it personally.
Yeah.
And you should.
Grain of salt.
You know?
And I think that's like, you got to put your ego aside.
Definitely.
Really look at it from an outwards perspective. And being introspective is a huge part of growth too, that I was kind of thinking about earlier when you were talking. That keeps me honest, which smoking a little weed kind of helps with that. Keeps me humble and honest. And but yeah, man,
it's funny. I was talking to Sheila about that.
Yeah.
After your show on Halloween, because I was like, you know, when people like singing along to your songs and everyone loves you, you know, so like, don't let that get to your head.
I don't.
I know.
You mean everyone hates me? I was
fucking with you. But I was talking to Sheila. I was like, how does that feel for you? Because like, you know Parker on a level that nobody else does.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, how does it feel to like have all these people showing him all this love in this way? Like, and you like, I feel like you can just sit there and be like, yeah, like, you know, like, yeah, you love him, but like, I know him. You know what I mean? Like, she has this thing above everybody else, like this understanding of you. Mm-hmm. So I just thought it was funny. She's like, yeah, I don't have to keep him honest. And I was like, yeah, I reckon because he keeps himself honest. Like you and ego don't, you know, I don't associate the two in my mind.
Interesting.
But it was just like, I just.
Oh, that's cool. She said that.
I love to like pick people's minds about that, especially people like close to the people that, you know, are in question. But like specifically seeing Sheila like look at you, because I was looking at her when everyone was like, yeah, Parker, yeah. And I was just like, as Sheila, I was like, I wonder how she feels about this, you know, like being so close and so like intimately involved with like all aspects of your creative process and your thoughts on a daily basis.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
What does she think about the people that love you?
Dude,
you know?
Oh man, I was gonna say too that she keeps me like, I don't know if it's honest, but she keeps me
grounded,
totally. And I'll like say my problems of the day as we usually do too. Like, I don't know, you know, just like this happened, or like, or if I'm thinking about doing something, and she gives me a really good perspective every fucking time. And I really appreciate it. Shout out Sheila, my girlfriend.
Shout out Sheila.
But yeah, man, I've seen some videos too of like, I'll be playing and people are like cheering and she's like front row, just like looking up, just so cute and just smiling.
That was part of the question I have for her is like, are you like used to that? Or like, is it fun every time? And like, she had a really good response that I can't think of now, but it was like definitely like super appreciative and like, you know, grateful response about like, man, I get to see this person that I love do what they love and receive love for it.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know, that's fun.
Dude, our relationship just works out so perfectly.
It comes off. Like it's obvious.
Yeah. We like just balance each other out so well. And I don't know. It's like we're both like driven in different paths, but we like come together. And when we're together, it's like, I don't know. Well, as far as past, like I have like this band and all, I'm constantly busy like doing social six stuff. And she's like, working at a middle school as a special aid and likes to be cozy and stuff. And I don't know, he just hang.
Yeah, I think honestly, like if you want my honest opinion, you guys should probably date. I think
I'm
you
thinking about asking her. I might have to cut this out.
Yeah, hey, your secret's safe with me, dog. But
yeah, it's almost 2 years.
Congrats. That's killer. That's stellar.
How's your love life going?
It is. I have someone I care about very, very much.
Really?
Well, yeah. I'm just content. I'm very content with like what I have.
Cool.
And I think that's like more important than anything else. I have like a lot of philosophies on like relationships that are definitely like shaped by my circumstances, but that's like it's a different story for a different day. But I think, I don't know. I've settled in this not philosophy, but like this thought that being present in a relationship is probably the most important part. And like, I think that a lot of people can get lost in expectation, not just expectation, but like entitlement to some degree. Taking for granted, I think, is the more colloquially used explanation for what I'm feeling. But like, I think at its fundamental, like at its core, it's about appreciating the time that you're spending with that person when you are spending the time. And I think anything beyond that is like, you know, it's extra, you know?
Yeah.
So like, realistically, anybody who you enjoy spending time with is like important, you know?
Totally.
And as long as that time is treated as though it's not guaranteed, that's what makes it special.
Yeah.
Because I feel like the second that you slip into that thought process where it's like, well, this person's going to be around, that's when things start to slip, for me at least. It's like, you got to think like, this person's opting to spend their time with me, and they could spend it elsewhere, and I can't be upset about that if they choose to do so. So when they choose to spend time with me, it is a choice, and it's a choice for both of us, and like that's what makes it, you know,
so special.
Yeah.
It takes it's mutual. It's got to be mutual.
And I think
if it's not, they'll feel weird.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, not right.
Yeah, and like ensuring that it is mutual, keeping it honest is important.
Yeah.
And I think realistically, the most important relationship that you can have with anybody is with yourself. That's another thing that I've been working on, because like I have never had more of an appreciation of time I've spent with myself than recently. And I love being left alone now.
That is.
I absolutely love it. And that's why, like, low key, when you were like, oh, I should have Eli on the podcast, I was like, why? Not necessarily because like we don't have good conversation, because I fucking love talking to you. Yeah. But it's more so I have, and this is funny because someone that I care about has said this to me, right? They're like, you have no social presence. And I was like, you're right. They're like, yeah, like outside of shows, I don't see you ever. Like I haven't posted anything on my Instagram since April. Sure. You know, like I'm not very involved with like nightlife in Milwaukee. I'm not public, like as a human. You know what I mean?
Interesting too, because I feel like I see you around so much, and that might just be from being in the scene.
Occupying the same space.
Yeah. Just sick.
Which is sick, and I appreciate it, and like that's why I'm like so stoked about the culture that's being cultivated here, as it regards to like, in regards rather to music and the crop of musicians and bands. But yeah, I don't have a social I don't know a lot of people. I like know a lot of people, but I don't know a lot of people. And that's not, don't ever take it personally. If someone's watching and wondering, don't take it personally. I just love being alone.
Oh, yeah.
I love being alone.
Yeah. What do you do in your alone time?
I whatever I want. Like, oh man, I'm obsessed.
That's a good answer. Whatever I want.
That's what I'm saying. Okay, first of all, I am very selfish in that way. I love doing what I want when I want to do it. Mm-hmm. And I love keeping my life in a set of circumstances that allows me to do that. And that's not, it sounds weird to say that out loud, right? It sounds like, oh, well, this dude, he's only concerned with what he wants. But in my mind, and this could just be like cope, you know, but in my mind, that makes every second that I spend with like people or doing something feel way more intentional than it would otherwise. If you allocate most of your time to yourself, everything feels like a choice that you do. You know what I mean? So like when I'm just idly picking up, you know, my bass and playing some, you know, playing along to a song or playing some notes or like coming up with a new melody or like picking up the guitar, picking up the trumpet, calling a friend, hanging out with a friend. Like my friend Sam was just over today. Like all that feels like way more of a choice, which makes it mean more. And that's just me.
Yeah.
And that's like my weird, you know, that's the way my brain works. And everyone's going to, you know, feel differently about it. But like when I keep everything open, and I think that's like, it's a weird part of like how I know when my friends are my friends, you know? I make it very intentional that when like developing a relationship, be it working, like cordial, romantic, anything with somebody, that I offer nothing. Because then if you appreciate my presence, it is for exactly my presence and it's for nothing else. Because if you come into something offering something to someone, like a service or like, you know, this sort of fulfillment, then their appreciation of you can be contingent upon that thing that you're offering. But if you come in offering nothing, then when they like you, it's because they like you.
I think you're a very likable person.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think it's easy to be a friend of yours.
But here's the thing about
to talk to, you know.
I appreciate that. And I appreciate you keeping me in mind for things like this. But you can't always guarantee that other people have that same opinion. You know what I mean? Like,
sorry,
like they're just, you know, it's a lot of and this is like part of the man, I was watching, or again, shout out to Jacob Slade, because like he put me onto this podcast called Philosophize This, which realistically just gave me a vehicle to express a lot of the things that I was feeling anecdotally, and with like some sort of basis in something that's already been written. You know what I mean? So I watched this one on this philosopher named Guy Debord, right?
Okay.
And he was talking about the society of the spectacle. And essentially that boils down to, or like to bastardize it, it's, he states that like people are less concerned with like the true nature of things and more concerned with the representation of things. So like everything becomes representative and everything becomes about the optics of what the situation is. So you'll have like, it's the reason that like paper money has value. It's because we all agree that it does. It's like a societal, sure, something we all ubiquitously agree upon. Like a $1 bill is worth $1, right? Yep. And it's just paper. Like realistically, it's just paper. But we agree this means, it's $1. So I'm going to give you this $1 and then you're going to give me something worth $1, right? Yep. So that has unfortunately, in my opinion, and again, I'm just a dude, so like take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I am not a like a, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not an authority on anything that I speak about aside from myself. So he said that's like unfortunately it's permeated a lot of aspects of our life that we don't necessarily even recognize until we've like examined it from like outside of ourselves to some degree. So like the reason why people pay $400, $500, $2,000 for a pair of shoes, when you break down that shoe into its brass tacks, its fundamentals, like leather that you can get for $40, you can get a pair of shoes that does the same thing as that $3,000 pair of shoes for $40. It's just that people have given this more value because of whatever, like agreed upon societal reason. Like, right. Oh, it has a fucking Gucci label on it. That means it's $4,000. It doesn't matter about the quality of the materials necessarily. It's about the branding. And that's why I get like eerie about like establishing a brand for myself. Like I used to have a personal social media. The one that I have now, I would not say is personal. I'd say it's very much a vehicle for the things that I'm working on creatively, right? I used to have a personal social media. I used to do a lot of modeling, things of that nature. Yeah, whatever.
I've seen you on Snapchat sometimes.
Hey man,
like 2 summers ago.
you gotta be vain sometimes. I try to avoid vanity, but I'm a human too. Okay, so I gotta give myself.
I've seen you at the gym.
Hey, you gotta be at the gym. You know what I mean? You gotta feed into that part every now and then. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a person. I appreciate attention. I'm not gonna sit here and lie. but a really important shift, I think, especially in the person that I am today, was when I did have my social media, like my personal social media, and I was taking pictures of myself. You know what I mean? In like a pseudo artistic way, very, very contrived, very here's another way to like look at me. You know what I mean? Not even like that necessarily, just like moody. You know what I mean? And for a second, all it took was like a second of like putting myself in third person and looking at myself doing these things from like outside of myself.
Sure.
And I just thought I looked really dumb. I was like, you like set up your phone on your chair. You set a self timer and you like sat there striking a pose to literally and really like breaking it down into fundamentals. Like that is for validation from other people.
What are your ancestors thinking about?
Right. This? My grandfather fought in the Korean War. He wasn't concerned about fucking people double tapping on my picture of, my black and white fucking noir picture of me in my bedroom. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So the second I established, like, I look dumb doing this. Like, if I saw myself taking pictures of myself like this as like a different person, I'd look at that person and be like, that's fucking dumb.
But some people are like, damn, this guy's pretty cool.
But that's okay. And again, I'm not yucking on anyone else's gum. This is just for me, right? So the way, and I think this is how a lot of artists work, is that your attention for us is transactional, right? You provide something to people and you feel like you earn the attention. That's why it's gratifying, right? to some degree.
To some degree. Depends on what it is.
You recognize,
so are you saying like an Instagram post?
For like music. Like you worked hard on this thing, and when people give you attention for it, it feels good. Yeah. Because you're like, I put a lot into this. Yeah. Like this did not exist before I did it, right? And like it's a fruit of my labor that everyone can enjoy. Yeah. And if people are enjoying it, it feels good, right? It resonates like deeply.
Yep.
So when I was taking pictures of myself, I had this like epiphany where I was like, because I always had this like nagging thought, like I like earning things, right? Everyone likes earning things, but like I love earning things. I like when things feel earned, right? So I took a picture of myself and I'm getting all this attention. And then I was like, realistically, like the way I look, and this is probably a bit like, you know, extreme on like this thought spectrum, but I was like, the way I look wasn't up to me. I'm just like, it was a genetic lottery. You know what I mean? Yeah. And whether or not I won is entirely subjective upon the person like viewing. You know what I mean? So I'm getting this attention just for taking a picture of my body, like my face, you know? Yeah. And people are like giving me attention for it. I felt like that wasn't earned.
Sure.
And that's
so easy to do.
Exactly. And it's done by everyone too. So like what sets it apart, right? So
other than the fact that it's you.
Exactly.
Like, it looks like you. But.
If like, and realistically, I also was like, you see one picture of me, you've seen them all. Like I'm not doing anything different. Like it's still just me. Yeah. And I don't care about fucking framing it in a certain way or like adding these colors or like putting this set dressing. And that's no disrespect to people who do that, because portrait photographers, cracked. I can't do that, right? But I don't want to be a subject of that either.
Sure.
It just doesn't feel like, it's not gratifying to me in the way that I want it to be. Everyone loves the fucking dopamine hit of attention for like them being pretty or whatever. But like for me, fucking being on that stage at your album release, hitting those notes, you know what I mean? Hitting those notes
with
and
the big
fucking angular bass, you know what I mean?
The metal bass.
And again, that's courtesy of my good friend Cole Faulkner, who's the dude who I refer to lives in DC, who I want to like visit.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, so cool. That's like what like gets me up. You know what I mean? In the morning. But yeah, like that's the shit that like really like, you know, that's like food for the soul.
But I was thinking too about like when we were talking about like your ancestor who fought in the Korean War.
Yeah.
If he was living your life right now, he'd be doing the exact same thing.
And that's why I don't blame people for like being a part of this cycle that like I genuinely want to like.
It's cool to put like step out of it and look at it from an outsider human perspective and just criticizing how you feel deep down, you know?
Yeah, it's like there's like been a bunch of quotes about like people who like now when we've established all these like moral codes and like have learned from history the right from wrong, and you know like history professors or I don't know, like you always want to think that you wouldn't be that person who's like feeding into this thing that like is embarrassing, but if it's normal, you're not perpetrating anything. Like you're like I'm not blaming the people who are like fucking duck face selfie in every day like on their Instagram. Do your thing. If you want to do that, that's all you know, all power to you. If you get enjoyment from that, all power to you. Yeah. It's just for me that's not how it works, and you know, it is what it is.
Dude, social media is a weird thing for everyone to figure out, and I had like a personal account that had like 3,000 followers, and dude, I even got so deep and I was doing like photography like freshman year. Right. And I've had this Instagram since I was like 7th grade, like maybe even before. And I was like, it was a part of me. And freshman year of college, I was like really into taking photos and editing them on Photoshop and stuff. And I didn't know what I wanted to do with photography, but this is just such a disgusting moment in my life. But like I bought this thing or spent $100 for this dude to like follow a bunch of people and then unfollow them, follow a bunch of people, unfollow them, and then I got like 1,000 more followers. I ended up deleting that Instagram because it was making me so anxious and just like, this isn't me, man. Like, it just really stepped away from it. And And it was like to the point where like I had a Finsta, like a fake Instagram. And it's interesting how the fake Instagram, your Finsta,
is the real,
is your
honest social media.
And your Rinsta is your Finsta.
Exactly.
It's so weird how that works.
Why
Isn't that
I
weird?
can't, like, from like just me being a person, from like a human perspective, I feel incapable of feeding into that cycle. I cannot, and this is probably to my detriment to some degree as someone who likes putting out art for people, and not necessarily for people, for me, but like enjoys like watching people interact with it and like seeing what they get from it, right? I can't curate an image for myself. I feel like that is so dishonest. That's why I appreciate like people who realistically, like, all of their social media is relegated to candids. You know what I mean? Like just snapshots of their life as it's happening, which I think you do a fantastic job of, because you're not fucking, you're not posing for anything aside from when you went to like,
the studio, except when I'm in the studio.
But realistically, Nick was like, "Hey, I need to do some test shots on portrait. Does anyone want to come?" And you just went. Yeah. It wasn't like you were fucking toiling over this, like, well, I want to do this strategically, and I want to do this, and I want to do that, and I need to make sure that people see me as this.
Sure.
That's not it. You're just literally sharing your life with people in snapshots. Yeah. That's why I can't sit in front of a camera and fucking contort my body in a certain way and make sure that the lighting is this and that's that, to make sure that I look the best, because that's not. Like, you're going to walk down the street and you're going to see me and you're not going to fucking recognize me because you only saw me in studio lighting when I've been airbrushed. Right. And I've been like, touched up a little bit. That's what I'm saying. Like,
dude, I would say I do a good job at being authentic and showing, like, 'cause I'm just always doing shit in my week, and I'll do those videos, like the short minute videos, and I just like chop those up. And then the podcast too have been really great because it's like putting out online, like long form, like if people, and the vlogs, it's like if you really wanted to get to know me,
you can.
I think you can, and that's what I want to curate for people. I want it to be easy to get to know me.
And that's the fun part about like what you're doing, is realistically you can be pretty comfortable in knowing that, like, if someone's a fan or a supporter, and they meet you in person, they're getting what they see. You know what I mean? Like, that's a special quality. Because I know a lot of people who curate an identity, and that's not a fault to them. But, like, that's part of the way the game's played now, right? They curate this identity, and then, like, it's kind of different when you meet them in person. Or not even necessarily different, but, like, for them, they have to keep up that identity when people approach them in circumstances that permit that. So, like, when people see you at a show that you just performed at, you got to keep up this, like, this brand that you've developed. Right. I cannot rock that way. I can't do that. Yeah. It's too. You cannot split yourself into two people, and you've done it fucking.
Dangerous hole to go down.
It is, and that's why, like, and it's weird. That's like, to commodify yourself is weird to me.
Dude, think of like every fucking news anchor in the world. It's here today on Channel 1.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Dude, right?
Yeah.
It is a persona that they put on.
But realistically, like, an even more sinister version of that is social media.
Sure.
Like, any, like, person who hedges their bets on, like, being that person that they're choosing to portray online, right? Because you got, like, we live in the era of micro influencers and influencers in general. Like, that's a new thing. People need to understand that. That is unprecedented in history. Micro influencers, and like we are going to experience now or later, and I think we already have the symptoms of this culture that we've cultivated, which is like the social media. Well, I can't even say we, because that makes us the guilty party. It's not even us. It's that, like, social media has cultivated, right? And that's like out of our hands. Like, I don't think that people. And this may be the idealist in me, I don't think that the people that developed social media knew what adverse effects it would have. We understand now, after like the whole Mark Zuckerberg congressional hearing about like Instagram and how they have data about how it impacts youth and like their mental health and how it's not good, and they choose to continue feeding into it anyway because money. I don't think when we were at the advent of like all these social media platforms, we knew where it would go and how it would affect us. Because realistically, I don't know if you were on like Instagram, like an early adopter,
Yeah.
Do you remember like the fucking not
2011?
wild, exactly, not even Wild West days of Instagram. People were just posting their food.
Yeah.
They were posting. It was a photo blogging website.
Yep.
So people would post like a picture and then talk about like what happened during the day.
Filter on there.
That's what I'm saying. They'd use the default filters, the one to make it look like fucking deep fried and like
put
orange.
Yeah.
Like look fucking high saturation, all that jazz.
This is sick.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, that looks good.
Black and white.
Right.
Yeah,
They're like, I'm an artist.
yeah.
And hey, they were in their own right, but like that used to be honest. Like people would just post updates to their lives because we didn't have any context to steer us otherwise. It was entirely governed by what we knew. And at that time, all we knew was how to go about our daily lives. Mm-hmm. But now we're subject to everyone potentially all at once. And there's this YouTube channel called Academy of Ideas on YouTube. I literally just said that.
I do that all the
time. And they did this video on social media in particular and its effects on society and like the adverse effects they went into. And a thing that they talked about was like, to be successful on social media, you have to assimilate. You have to be a mouthpiece for the majority. Like, and that's not, I'm not like getting political here. I'm not like trying to be like, well, like liberals or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like that, steer clear. But like, realistically, if you want to be widely accepted, you have to say what is widely accepted. And I think people get lost in that. They want to be as inoffensive as possible and at risk of being inauthentic, right? So like to appeal to the masses, you have to echo what they believe, echo their sentiment.
Virtue signal.
And if anything of that nature contradicts in your mind, you're sacrificing that part of yourself to appease people who don't fucking matter in the grand scheme, right? Yeah. So there's a lot of self-sacrifice that I don't think is paid attention to when you operate on these platforms. And that's what like frightens me as a person. Because like, you know.
The scary thing is, and we're all guilty of it to some degree, I feel. I mean, I don't know. I feel like subconsciously there might be some things that even I do that might like, because I do know that like people are going to see this if I put it out. But at the end of the day, like it's coming from a place of trying to keep it as authentic as possible. Like I don't throw my opinions out like to people's faces just almost in fear. I think there's a lot of fear of speaking like what you really believe deep down because there's someone going to be online that's going to say the other thing, you know? So it's like why I almost just stay away from it to avoid that conflict when I don't know. I feel like as I get older, I'll be more like set and like have a bigger voice, you know?
And that's the crazy thing about like this mass voice that we're experiencing, like this groupthink, this like consciousness that's like its own entity at this point, right? Is people's growth and the expansion of their like ideologies is not linear, nor is it constant. You know what I mean? Like no one pops out. And this is another thing that like they cover and philosophize this. No one pops out of the womb and has their moral code set and never deviates from it, right? You don't just come out and like gain sentience and like cognizance and you're like, oh, okay, yeah, like I'm this, and that, and I will never stray from these things.
Right.
This is the hill I'm going to die on. You go through periods. It's like it's a fucking zigzag. It's a there's a lot of deviation in there. And for whatever reason that's punished. Like
right.
if you
growth.
Yeah, you can't punish growth. And realistically, I'm not talking about like the fringe cases here where it's like, oh, this person did like no. I'm talking about like it took like I grew up in Pewaukee, right? I did a lot of my growing up from 2nd to 8th grade in Pewaukee, right? Very conservative town, right? So realistically, at no fault of my own, a lot of those values were instilled in me. I come and I moved to Shorewood, right? Very liberal. So I have this internal conflict this entire time. And I remember it took like insight from people that I just met for me to like change my opinions on things. And they didn't, and they honestly, it's a huge credit to them that they didn't condemn me for thinking differently coming from this place. They literally took time to sit down and like not even argue with me, but give their opinion. And a lot of like doors opened, a lot of like I changed my mind about a lot of things, or at least it was positive, and then I came to my own conclusions about these things. Like I feel like that can be lost now to some degree because people are so concerned with maintaining the status quo that like when someone missteps, they're condemned immediately and the finger's pointed at them. And it's like, well, no, this person did this thing. It's like, and realistically, I can't say that it's all like that because there's a lot of people out there that are willing to have these conversations and be like, hey, well, this is how I think about this. Maybe you should too. And then next thing you know, there's like civil discourse.
Right.
And this person's been, educated on a topic and provided with something that they wouldn't have come to on their own.
Right.
So like,
I think just conversations of between people without having feelings hurt, or they're like, you can't be tied to your opinions or trying to win a battle with your opinion. Like you can have an opinion and hear somebody else's, and your opinion can still stay. And at some point, like you can only do so much to change somebody's mind. So it's like pick your battles of
that in conjunction with like you can have an opinion and not be personally attached to it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like a lot of people get offended when people contradict their opinions. Why? Opinions are the only thing that can be argued. You know what I mean? You can't argue like universal truths, like 2 + 2 being 4. Like that can be argued unless like some of you are math wizards and want to be contentious.
22.
Yeah. Yeah, that fucking like quip when you're like, in 5th grade, like, hey, what's 1 + 1? 2. And like, it's 11. Yeah, you fucking nerd. But yeah. Or they'll like do it with the ring finger because they want to be like especially edgy without like, yeah.
Hide it from the teacher.
But yeah, I don't know. I think, a little tolerance, a little love will go a long way.
Yeah.
And
I want to say that we are, I don't know, I feel optimistic as far as like people just kind of having it, like not giving, like maybe more so on like social media, of people realizing like what it is. And I think there's more authenticity now too than there was maybe like 3-4 years ago on Instagram.
It's
maybe
you know what, it's funny, you're right, but I also think that there's another side to it, another angle where I think it's been polarized more. Like you have people who treat it very honestly, and you have people that are super feeding into like they're concerned with the algorithm, numbers, all these things that like you can get lost in as a person because like you're not meant to care about those things.
Right. Yeah.
But I think the gap between those two has widened, and I feel like you maybe tapped more into like the honest people, but there's like a whole group of people out there that you're not seeing.
That is true because everyone's so different. Everyone uses social media so differently. So like there's those people that don't even they have like one photo. I know some like guy friends of mine, and they just like watch sports highlights.
Right. Yeah. And that's fine.
That's cool too.
Yeah. Like do your thing, man.
Yeah,
I'm never gonna feel like any type of way about those people.
Yep.
They go on, that's like their ESPN.
One thing that you mentioned that just about just the mass of people on social media kind of like influencing each other, not thinking for themselves. One thing I was thinking of was like the generation behind us of like just young kids that don't know what it was like before having an online presence, of like having just an authentic life that's separated from online.
We're the transitional generation.
Yeah,
and I'm realizing that because
I'm stoked to be it.
100%. Because realistically, the only reason I can make these observations as a person, like for myself, is because I had a life before it. Right? My baby brother, 12-year age gap, love him to death. He's growing up with all these social as like that's the established norm. He doesn't know a life without them. Right? Like the only life he had without them was pre-smart, like before he got a phone. but like it's been integrated into these people's lives, which is all it. You cannot understate the impact that has on social dynamics, which realistically already volatile when you're growing up and like coming into your own.
Oh my God.
So like dude. You thought high school was bad when like we were in high school, bruh. Like there are people growing up in high school who had like TikTok and Instagram since they were in 5th fucking grade, 4th grade, 3rd grade. The fucking sky's the limit as far as like indoctrination into these
anything up that they want to.
That's
like,
what I'm saying.
I feel like parent blockers don't do shit,
dude. And that's why like if I ever become a parent, and who knows, my mind may change. You know, I imagine I'd like to think I'd be the parent that like has like a smart device policy that's like not too overbearing and like instills a sense of responsibility with like social media, because that's something again that we did not have. So we don't have like a survival guide, a Ned's Declassified on that, right? Mm-hmm. So all these people we're navigating this landscape blind. And realistically, when you're navigating a landscape blind, it feels like Lord of the Flies. Like the people that are super into it will like obviously rise to the top, and then it's like they exercise their dominion over everybody else. So like people set the tone, and regardless of whether or not you as an individual would jive with that, you have to play the game to be a part of it. So like you think about the social dynamics of like kids, you know? Like there's a popular kid and like all this stuff, and now like the popular kid has a number attributed to them because of social media. Like, oh yeah, Kelsey has fucking 700 followers, bro. Oh, she's in 5th grade. You know what I mean? Right. Like she's well liked, and now you have like your locus, like your importance, your focal point as a kid has shifted from like being, which realistically, that's what it was like when we were growing up. You're just being a kid. Yeah. Like you're not worried about like, and this is something funny. There was just like a UFC fight card. MMA is my favorite sport. Yeah. Israel Adesanya just did an interview today after losing, which made me very upset. But he is super graceful in defeat. And he said, like, because he was touching on like, like bullies and blah, 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 because he was bullied like on his come up, like when he was a kid. And he said, the crazy thing about like the social dynamic today is like before when we were growing up, when you leave and you go home, that's it. Like your home life is separate, right? But now, seeing as to how there's social media and everyone's constantly engaged with it, especially with the kids, and I don't know to what degree they're involved with it, they're taking all those feelings home with them too, because they're constantly reminded of these dynamics, like these social dynamics and this like hierarchy, because it is a fucking cutthroat hierarchy for kids. Middle school, high school, that's great. Like teenagers, bro, there's a reason My Chemical Romance wrote a song about teenagers, bro. They do scare the living shit out of me. Yeah.
Living shit out of
Dude,
that'd be a good song cover.
I was like, hey, what a thing to say, like when I was a teenager. And then like as I grow, you know, mid-20s, I understand. They're bloodthirsty, you know?
Yeah.
They'll pounce on shit.
Stupid.
They'll do some really fucked up shit. So knowing that like that's how these people are growing up now, and like that's what they know. Mm-hmm. How like we gotta know that like this is like the cigarettes. Like realistically, vapes are the cigarettes of like this generation, but like we have no long-term studies on this and how it's like affecting these people cognitively. They're the guinea pig generation. They're going to have social media forever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. And it's not going away.
Exactly. Who knows how that's going to affect you like in your interpersonal relationships moving forward? Like how many people are going to be scared to like create genuine connections with people in person, like put themselves out there because, you know, there's a screen there that you can just do that, you know, in a couple clicks.
They don't know how to be an authentic self.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because you
switch it off.
Your entirety of like your being socially was molded by these numbers and this algorithm. And like, it's a fucking scary thought. Realistically, it's a terrifying thought. So,
dude, if I had that, like, it's interesting that like our generation, I hope like I've realized that you realize like the negatives, but all the time don't think about it. But like movies like The Social Dilemma, and there are studies and data out now, and I feel like whereas our generation, like my parents, like when I wanted a phone, like they were like, no, you don't need a phone.
That's what I'm saying.
But I think that going through it and like having it ourselves and having a better, different, younger perspective, I think us as parents will I think we'll handle it all right. I feel like there's going to be a pushback against it as far as like, I don't know. Like if I were to live somewhere like a school that didn't, I don't know, man. It's interesting.
Yeah,
you don't want to hinder your kid from not making them have a phone or letting them have a phone.
That's the crazy part, because like you realistically like depending on like how the parental generations differ, but realistically, a lot of the kids when we're parents are gonna have smartphones. Do you want to like excise them from that group? Do you want to like ostracize, make them the other in that situation?
You want the best for your kid.
You want them to be able to engage in that, but I think that's like why, like realistically, whether we wanted to or not, we have a lot of responsibility as a parental generation, especially like being cognizant of the effects of social media, even on us, and we haven't been steeped in this for as long as these kids will be. You know what I mean? So we have to really be on like our P's and Q's about like, hey, this is what this is. Don't let it get to you. Like we have to bulletproof our children in regards to, like the dangers of social media, which is like, what a weird thing to think about. Like I grew up, we played with dirt and sticks.
Right,
you know what I mean? So,
burning ants
with a magnifying glass. Yeah.
Yeah, that shit was fun. The good old days.
The good old days. Catching frogs.
Not being on the screen all the time. Granted, I did spend a good amount of time watching TV. And
I spent time playing video games. But, like, again, that was before, like, likes and all these dopamine hijackers.
And then about going back to, like, wanting the best for your kid. Yeah. Now you introduce, like, the, like, choosing, like, before birth, like, your baby's, like, physical attributes. If you can enhance, if like they're going to be smarter, all this like weird genetic thing you can modify.
Are you talking about like CRISPR?
What is that?
Like genetic modification?
Yeah, genetic modification.
Realistically, that has like the potential to be really cool, because I imagine like I don't want to talk about.
Okay.
No. I'm completely ignoring the potential future of like, well, I want my baby to be 6'8". I want him to be in the NBA. You know what I mean? I'm talking about like, like you have this predisposition with this like genome that causes this disease. We're just gonna get rid of it.
Yeah,
like,
that's dope as hell.
That's like giving me a lot of hope.
Right. But then you get to the point where it's like, okay, so if everyone's baseline gonna be like solid, but then what if you also had a choice to make them like 6'8"? Or like, I don't know, like what's the moral boundary to cross? Like
I don't know. I mean, if I had to, like, if a gun were put to my head and I needed to make a decision on that now, I think you gotta abstain from making any edits aside from making sure that they're healthy.
But people are. There's gonna be some people that do.
Of course. And I realistically, let's be 100%. If things are the way they are, society, the spectacle, a commodified society, all those things are going to be locked behind a paywall. Oh, you want your child to be 6'10"?
Oh, yeah.
Give us fucking $300 million.
Yeah, then the gap's going to get even bigger.
Yeah.
Man. Whew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are we starting talking about the music scene?
And
now we're on gene editing.
I'm interested to see how we got on that.
Yeah, me too.
But yeah. Well, I think it was just from that you don't have social presence, which I think is pretty cool.
That's why I'm like, is like anyone gonna watch this? Like, does anyone care about like what I have to say? Which again, part of my brain is like the numbers oriented side, which I want to shed as much as I can. So like, realistically, my entire opinion on this and my feelings are hypocritical. So so I'm just gonna go home.
You're watching this in 5 years and be like, fucking idiot.
or you were onto something. One of the two.
Right. Yeah. That is true.
Yeah.
You're gonna have your gene edited baby.
Yeah. Yeah, at that point they're gonna like, do you want like the Facebook package? Like, do you want Facebook built into your brain? Like,
oh my God.
I don't even want to think
Google glasses, man. The Google glasses.
Luckily
yeah,
enough.
but they're gonna get better.
Of course.
The Oculus.
Dude, not gonna lie. Okay. I borrowed my baby brother's Oculus just to play a game. It was really fun.
Isn't it sick?
It's
dude?
really fun.
I haven't done it in a while.
Luckily, I don't get motion sick.
Like, it's cool.
It's really fucking cool. Like, as much as I want to be like, no, it's I'd rather do XYZ.
Now imagine that even like 10 times better.
It's only gonna get better.
iPhone 1,
dude. You know? That's what I keep thinking about. Like now I have this goddamn, anxiety machine. My first cell phone was a track phone, which is like prepaid. You gotta I had to call my dad on the landline, mind you, from my home phone to his cell phone and be like, hey dad, can you put minutes on my cell phone so I can text mom?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Dude.
And we're talking I had to press 777 to get to my fucking letter. You know what I mean?
Kids these days will never know that. And I only had that for I had one that slid up and I had the keyboard kind of thing. I don't even know if
It's crazy to think about what kids don't. They won't know what a dial tone sounds like. You know what I mean? When you pick up a landline, it's ooh. You don't have that here. You just have numbers.
Oh, sure.
There's so many things that are lost. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So many analogs of old technology have just been, obviously made more efficient.
Yeah. I'm glad to be in the generation that we are.
Agreed. Me too. Yeah.
Do you want another beer?
I would love one.
Yeah. I was like, damn, I should have brought some over.
Yeah.
Do you want to plug anything while I step out?
Yes. Bug Moment working on an album. Should be out in spring. Moonglow. Actually, I don't know if I could say this, but they're working on an album. That's probably common knowledge. But I've listened to a lot of the tracks behind the scenes, and they're really good. Very, very good. I think those guys are carving out a very particular niche for themselves in Milwaukee, and I'm very proud of all of them, and I love all of them very much. Who else? Oh, this sweater, this hoodie was made by Lucas Alamo. Are you familiar?
I don't know Lucas.
He just makes clothing. I think he's really you see this on the sleeve here? This is a waveform for a mix he made for a SoundCloud radio station. I think it was played on an actual radio station. I couldn't tell you which one it was. But this is the actual waveform of that mix that he made.
Made a screen print of it?
Yeah. I toured his workspace, and he's just one of those people that just has so many ideas. It's ridiculous, and executes on them very tastefully. Milwaukee indeed. He's based in the South Side, I believe, but he's crazy good at what he does, and give him a follow. Yeah. Get some clothes from him when he makes them. I know he's very busy.
What's his Instagram?
Man, I think it's just Lucas Alamo, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look it up.
Every time I hear the name Lucas, we had a Spanish teacher, Miss Senora Rosa, and she had a son named Lucas, and she would always say, mi hijo Lucas.
Yeah.
I would just make, I felt bad for her. We not made fun of her. I don't know, man. She was just a terrible teacher. Sorry, Miss Rozak. I think we're second cousins, so I can say that. We're family, loosely. She's my uncle's brother's sister or no. That would make him
your uncle's sister. Yeah,
my uncle's cousin or something. Very loose family.
Yeah. Word.
Not blood.
Well, shout out. You dedicated your life to educating the youth anyway, which is
what was Lucas's Instagram?
LucasAlamo. Lucas Alamo.
Yeah. That's a cool hoodie.
Very cool hoodie. The craziest part about this hoodie is that it came with a tag. The tag was in the shape of a T-shirt, and it had a little flip out USB that you could plug into your computer, and it leads right to the mix. You could download the mix.
Holy shit!
He goes above and beyond when he designs his clothing, and he has a very clear vision that's not just relegated to the clothing itself. Wow. So he seeing his work blew me away. So
that's a good idea, man.
Yeah, man. He makes it not just a piece of clothing, but an art piece in general,
right?
Which I really appreciate.
Yeah, it's a moving physical song,
Literally, there's a QR code on
I was just thinking QR.
That leads to the mix.
Can you scan that?
Yes.
That's scannable, dude? Yep. Holy
He thought of everything.
Shit, man.
He thinks it too much.
Wow.
It's crazy.
How much was that hoodie?
I paid, I don't want to.
Yeah, you know.
No, I'm just kidding. I paid what it was worth, let's say that.
Sure. Yeah.
And I'm always happy to support people that are making things that I fucking really enjoy. And it's fucking heavy too, so it's nice in the winter, you know?
Nice and durable. Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude, the merch that is like interactive and has like QR codes, I think are huge now. I honestly don't do enough of it.
It's like that's like his, don't beat yourself up about that because like you do music. You do music that no one else has made. You know what I mean?
That's true.
This is his medium. So he makes clothing that no one else has made. You know
Didn't he make that song though?
Oh well, yeah, yeah. But he made a mix, so he like mixed together a bunch of songs that he likes. So it's like essentially curating a mix, like curating a playlist, and like just editing it all together.
Got you.
But yeah, he's into music too. Yeah, he's just like he's just one of those creative minds.
Yeah.
That like you just talk to him and you're just impressed. Like you're just waiting for what he says next. You're just like hanging on to every word.
Yeah, never heard of him, Lucas. Maybe I recognize him.
Yeah, I think he's been at a couple of the Cactus Club events. So.
Yeah. So you guys got 2 shows on Friday?
Yeah, we got one WSME radio, I want to say, at like 11 a.m.
Is that Milwaukee radio?
I do believe so. Okay. It's like 91.7, I think.
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
Yeah, I could picture it in my head. With
the logo.
With the red.
Yeah. And then we're playing with Doubter and OK Omen at Promises.
Cool.
Same night.
Cool.
So, yeah, I'm excited. We haven't played since Halloween, like the day before Halloween, so we took a little bit of a break. I think everyone needed it, but it was
good to take a little breather.
It does. I just been sitting in my room practicing trumpet.
Nice, yeah. Dude. I'll show you that song after this.
Definitely. I would love to do that. So thank you to Tyler from Moonglow, Tyler Craft, for letting me buy that trumpet off of him.
Oh, cool.
He's learning flugelhorn and I'm learning trumpet. And they're like, they're very closely related instruments, so like we try to make time to practice with one another.
Got you.
It's like a little bit bigger of a
Why
trumpet.
did you want to do trumpet?
I played it in 5th grade for band, but that was before I had like feelings about music. It was kind of like something like, I want to do this. I want to try this out. But like, I've always fucking loved brass.
Sure.
Like a good horn, because like it occupies so many like brain grooves. If you want it to, like you got like the quiet, like muted stuff on like some really like soft jazz. And then you got like blaring, like triumphant horns on like Gustav Holst's Mars. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it can be all these things.
Uh-huh.
And if you want it to be like in your face, it can be in your face. If you want it to be like really subdued and like really nice and like almost cursive, you know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
And it can be.
I was talking to Clayton about it too, because he used to do some brass back in the day, but it's almost, or no. Who was I talking to about? I forget. But damn, I feel like a lot of guests in the past for this podcast have all done brass. Not trumpet, but like, brass. I think it was Young Davey, but like, it's like almost like you're singing, you know?
Yeah, dude.
In a way.
It's a weird, because like coming from stringed instruments, going into one that's like contingent upon my diaphragm and like breathing is weird, because like it's something I don't even think of, and like when I'm running up and down the scales, I'll hear that like some of my notes start to peter off at the end, and I'm like, oh wait, I have to breathe.
Right.
Like I forget that this is part of this instrument.
It's a part of you. It's an extension,
and that's why I like it so much. Is that it almost feels like singing, right. And I like singing. So yeah. I've been thinking about attending some of these open mics at Bremen.
Dude, I was gonna say, do you want to go tonight?
chops.
You don't have to do anything.
It's tonight.
I probably won't do anything. Yeah, it's tonight. It's been nice to do these podcasts and then like
kick it after.
Yeah, just hop on over, see who's there. Yeah. It's been pretty chill.
Yeah, man. I feel like I have to at some point pay homage to Nirvana through a cover, because that's who got me into like playing for sure. Yeah. Realistically, it was Guitar Hero World Tour. Because they had About a Girl Unplugged on there, which is literally just what, an E and a G chord.
How's that one go?
I need an easy friend. I do with it. Yeah. So, like, it's literally 2 chords, and then it's like a couple power chords. But that's like, I was like, I want to play that, and I picked up my guitar. My fucking dumb ass. I don't regret this, because realistically, like, it's like led to my musical journey now, which I'm very much appreciative of. But when I was probably like 10, 8, 7, somewhere between there, I asked my grandfather, I come from like a musical lineage. He is on like a bunch of salsa vinyl from like the the 90s, 80s, 70s.
Holy shit.
Like he was a studio musician. He's fucking ridiculous.
What did he
at
play?
Guitar, bass.
Oh, sure.
Like any stringed instrument. I think he also played a brass instrument.
Salsa in like the 70s, 80s would be sick.
My that's like my mom's side.
To some of that.
Yeah, dude. And like that lineage is carried on because like my uncle, my grandfather's son, obviously plays upright bass. As does my dad.
Oh, cool.
My dad also plays upright. He's getting back into it. Yeah. And then my brother played bass guitar. And now I play bass guitar. Wow. So like I have like a
rhythm.
I have a rhythm lineage, and like salsa and rhythm indelibly tied. Like you can't, like, you need to be locked in to play salsa music.
Yeah.
It's very it's very, because I feel like there's some sort of dichotomy between like the artistic and the like technical, but like that they're tied, like the art and the technicality, because salsa music is very complex. It can be very complex, and you have to be very locked in, very on time.
I'll have to like listen to some salsa music because I've been listening to a lot of Latin music and Spanish music lately.
Right.
And the other night, I had people over after a Lindman show, and Ducky was here, and he's like, he queued up a song. He's like, I'm going to teach everyone how to bachata. I don't know what bachata is, but like
a dancing.
And everyone was like, people were coming in and out, and like the bachata song was dancing. He's like, you got to like, don't even think about your upper body. It's just all alone.
Yeah.
And we were just all dancing. It was a super Spanish song. It was so fun.
Yeah. It's funny. Like there's like this very good quote from the director of Parasite. You remember Parasite?
Oh yeah, dude. That movie is so crazy.
Exactly.
So nuts.
And he made this like really good point about like the Western audiences, and like, I don't know if you remember, but there was like a fair bit of backlash about it winning Best Picture or whatever it won.
Because it was like a Korean.
Yeah, they were like, oh, it's not even American. Why is it winning an Oscar? Why don't they have their own equivalent ceremony that it wins awards in? And he made this really good quote that was like, the Western audiences have been like, there's this 1 inch tall barrier that's separating them from a plethora, like infinite source of like art that they could consume and potentially love. And that 1 inch barrier is called subtitles. And I was like, that's a good quote. You know what I mean?
Wow.
Like, because realistically, you know, that movie took the world by storm. And then you got like that opened door for a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Like all this, like, you know, what's the Money Heist? All Spanish, right?
I don't think I've seen that.
It's on Netflix.
Okay.
And then Squid Game.
Squid Game,
South, you know,
it's so fucking good.
South Korean media.
Yeah.
So like,
yeah, subtitles have been like, I didn't watch it, but I remember seeing a YouTube video that was like why people are leaning towards subtitles now, even on English speaking things.
Yeah, it's like, you know, it's an extra.
You get a
layer
better
of
appreciation of the script too when you read it.
Agreed.
I think they're kind of distracting sometimes if I don't need them.
Yeah,
like if it's like on and like Sheila is like cooking or something, like at her house, and it's on the TV. It's kind of nice to have the subtitles because I can't like hear everything that people say, and you do catch things that you don't normally do.
Right. Exactly.
But yeah,
it's just nice to have. But like, yeah, there's a whole, like, so many artists that you'd never, you know, listen to typically because it's not in the top 40 that are just, they're literally like a stone's throw away. You know?
Have you seen any good movies lately?
Oh man, have I? The last movie I watched was Hellraiser, the reboot on Hulu.
Okay,
yeah. But that's just like a body horror film. So like,
oh, okay,
it's like nothing to like write home about. It was well done. It was well done.
Okay,
but man, the last good movie I saw, I watched. There's this movie that came out probably like a good couple of years ago called The Last Black Man in San Francisco. I don't know if you've ever seen it. I've
heard of it.
Yeah, really well done. The dude, like, oh man, I don't remember like the most about it, but I remember it leaving like this really profound emotional impact on me. Because the movie is like one of those films that like, it's not super narratively driven. It's more about like you relating to the characters and like the things that they're going through in particular, and projecting yourself into their role.
Sure.
And they did a very good job of like
you're just kind of a part of the ride.
Exactly. And they made it so that you could very easily put yourself in their shoes and like care about what they care about and go through what they went through. Yeah. So at the end, it has this like really bittersweet ending.
Okay.
That like is steeped in uncertainty, but also this like freedom that I can picture the end scene right now. And I just remember like being done with that movie and being like, wow, like I could cry, but I'm not sure if I should.
Let it out. Oh, sure. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, The Last Black Man in San Francisco. If you haven't seen it, I'd recommend it. It's a very sweet movie. You have and it kind of demands that you pay attention to it, because if you don't, you'll lose part of it, because it's all very emotionally driven.
Yeah.
It's not like, these are stakes and they got to save the world. It's like, here's this thing that they care about a lot, and it's very important to them.
Yeah.
And here's what they're doing to try to preserve it. And it may work, it may not.
Have you seen No Country for Old Men?
Dude, that has been on my list.
You haven't seen it?
I haven't.
Oh, okay.
I have a degree in psych, right?
Yeah.
So I like watch criminal psychology videos. I watch like interrogation videos, like they break down like interrogation tactics. I'm very interested in the outlier cases of the human psyche. And apparently Javier Bardem, his role in that film is the most accurate portrayal of a psychopath in film, apparently ever.
Wow.
So I'm very interested. I've only seen like one clip of it. I have steered clear, and it's wild that I have, because it's such an old and well-respected film.
Yeah.
I've steered clear of every spoiler that I could. I still have to set aside time to watch it.
Dude,
but I want to watch
it
really bad.
Man.
Yeah, I heard it's fucking fantastic.
I watched it like a month ago.
Yeah.
Oh, so good, man. Yeah, I won't give you any spoilers.
Yeah, I also need to watch. Have you seen Everywhere?
Yeah.
Everything, Everywhere, All at Once?
Yeah, I was talking to Caleb on the podcast 2 days ago about that one. I didn't love it. Mm-hmm. I thought there was a lot of hype about it that like I watched it. It was a really good movie, but it was like the title of the movie. Like there's so many things going on. Maybe I got to watch it again. Mm-hmm. But like my brain was like kind of settled on like something that would happen. Mm-hmm. And then it would just keep on moving and something else would happen. And I was kind of lingering on that thing that happened. I was like, wait, does that even have to like do with anything? Yeah. Kind of thinking too deep into it. Yeah. I'd love to watch it again.
Yeah, that's a good movie. Yeah, that's been recommended to me by so many people. Yeah. And a lot of people whose like taste I trust. So like I have to really look into it. And I also have to look into No Country for Old Men, because I really want to watch that. Man. But
and then lastly, I was going to bring up I just saw All Is Quiet on the Western Front.
I've heard so many things about that.
Are you a movie guy? No.
That's a war film, no?
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. So my grandfather, same dude who, records on all those salsa records, or has like vinyl out there, which is so fucking cool to think about. The one that fought in
the Korean War?
No, that's on my dad's side. Oh, okay. So my mom's side is the Puerto Rican side, my dad's side is the black side.
Gotcha.
My mom's side is where like a lot of the music came from. And it's actually a really cute story. Like the only reason like my mom and my dad met is because like through their love or like my dad's love of salsa music.
Oh, wow.
Kind of like, because my dad was in a band with my mom's dad, with my grandpa on my mom's side.
Wow.
Yeah. So
do you know how to salsa?
My body knows, my mind doesn't.
Interesting.
If that makes sense.
What?
It's the same thing with the language. My mom never taught me Spanish, but like if people are speaking it, I'll know what they're saying. I just can't respond.
Wow.
Yeah. It's like a exposure thing. Like, I was going to my mom's side, everyone's speaking Spanish.
So can you dance salsa?
If like there was music on, yeah.
Oh, that was gross.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
As well as anyone else? Yeah.
Sure. Cool.
It depends on the day and how many drinks I have in me.
Yeah, right. But back to movies.
All Is Quiet on the Western Front. I need to watch it still.
Man, that movie fucked me up. Bring a box of tissues.
Yeah.
I didn't cry. Sheila she doesn't love war movies, but
you got
to watch it with her. Yeah. It was really good, man. It was probably the best well done like war movies, World War I, that I've ever seen.
I heard it was like a really honest interpretation.
Yeah, it's in German too. So it's kind of cool that way.
You've seen Studio Ghibli films, of course. Everyone has,
yes,
right?
Not like all of them though.
You've seen Spirited Away?
Yeah. Fuck yeah, dude.
So, are you familiar at all with My Neighbor Totoro?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you seen it?
Yeah, that's the one with the big dude.
Yeah.
And he's holding like the
leaf
umbrella.
Is it an umbrella?
or something.
Okay.
In the bus stop. Yeah, I
Yeah,
love
yeah,
that
yeah.
one. That was good.
Okay, so Studio Ghibli made this film called, have you heard of Grave of the Fireflies?
I haven't heard of that one.
Okay, so they made this film about Japan during World War II, specifically kind of centered around the fire bombings that happened in Japan during World War II. And it follows this young boy, like probably like 10, 12, which is somewhere in that age, and his little sister during that time. Gut-wrenching. That is the only film to make me cry to date. Whoa. It is haunting. It is gut punch after gut punch, and like usually there's some reprieve.
And it's animated like
it
that?
It is. Wow. And realistically, I think that lends itself more to like some emotional impact because like a lot of like animated shows are what like get me the hardest. Because I think it does make it a little bit easier to. I also was like I did theater like growing up, so when I see actors acting, I'm like kind of like part of my brain is analyzing the acting portion of it, but it's gut punch after gut punch, and like usually there's reprieve. There's some reprieve in there where it's like here's some levity to like pair with your despair. In that movie, it is just bad.
Oh god!
All the way to the end, and then the ending is horribly sad, and then it's over. So you get nothing. And I appreciated it for not pulling punches because realistically, you're talking about a dire situation.
Right.
Yeah. And the fun fact about that is when that movie came out, and this is like, I'm pretty sure this is true. I heard this from like very like good sources. When they were showing that film in theaters in Japan, they had to make it a double feature with My Neighbor Totoro, and they had to show Grave of the Fireflies first because when they showed it second, everyone would just leave. Oh god! They'd sit through My Neighbor Totoro and then they'd leave because they knew the sad movie's coming. Oh my! So they were like, "All right, if you want to watch My Neighbor Totoro, you have to watch Grave of the Fireflies first, and then you can watch
the double feature."
My Neighbor Totoro. Yeah. So like it was so melancholy, it was so like hopeless that like people would not watch it.
God damn. All right. Well, I'll have to watch it.
It's like one of those things that like you gotta just appreciate.
Yeah.
Because the storytelling's so strong and like.
So Grave of the Fireflies.
Grave of the Fireflies. Yes. Oh, it's so sad, dude. Oh.
Did you want to talk about the? I don't know. We were talking about before about your work. Did we touch on that? You're like,
oh yeah,
the philosophy or something.
Yeah, it was like we were talking about customer service jobs and like service
industry jobs.
I
don't know if you want to probably wrap this up in like 10, 15.
Yeah, for sure. So we were talking about like service industry jobs, and I was talking about I think that the reason people get burned out so quickly in circumstances like that and with jobs like that, and how it can be so draining, because realistically. I am of the belief that you should separate, in certain circumstances, separate your enjoyment of your job from like your emotions. You know what I mean? Because like I think tying those too closely can like really make it so that you have like a long string of bad days. If you hate your job and like you're going to your job every day, like you're gonna have a bad time. Yeah. So I try to like separate the two. I'm like, well, this is what I do to make sure I have a roof over my head. This is what I do to. Excuse me.
Count your blessings.
Exactly. And I'm like, realistically, like, yeah, it sucks to get yelled at by people, but like, who cares? I have a roof over my head. Right. Like, I have access to water whenever I want.
Right.
I'm warm. Yeah. It's winter in Wisconsin and I'm warm. You know what I mean?
Could be worse.
Exactly. But I think the reason people get burned out so fast is because we're not meant to interact with people so often, like as a species. Technology has evolved way faster than we have because it takes a long time for people to evolve.
What do you think the long-term effects of that is, man?
I think it can make you callous to like the plight of people, because if you're obligated through your job to care about what people are going through, it can make you callous to what people are going through outside of that, because realistically, you can pretend to care. You probably don't. Like when people are getting upset that their coffee's too cold, you don't care. You're meant to show that you do, but you don't really care, because you realize that like if this is what you're complaining about, you've got a good life. Like if what you're complaining about is your coffee being too cold, you're doing pretty well. Right. Like realistically, you're doing like better than 98% of people on the planet. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a lot of people that are living in really dire circumstances.
I think that's a very American thing to think of when it comes to customer service.
Yeah.
Is that we're working hard and we're going to like give you the best service that we possibly can.
And you're going to tip us.
Yeah, right.
Just so that.
Please tip me.
And
Good.
just so that they don't have to pay their workers, enough. There's a reason, like some jobs you get paid $2 an hour, but like your pay is contingent upon tips. That's not right, Mm-hmm. That's like, so you're like a couple rainy days away from not being able to pay rent. If you're like in dire financial straits. No thanks. But it is what it is.
And it depends on your job too. I feel that like coming from a family business, like my family had a small bike shop growing up, bike ski shop. Shout out Mountain Outfitters, downtown West Bend. I don't know, man. Just see my dad work day to day, and just really care about like helping people and solving people's problems. I think it has taught me like when I was working at the bike shop, sometimes people have an issue and I'd help them out and it'd feel good. But growing older and kind of having something that I care about with like music and stuff, it kind of, there's parallels where like my project, like Social Sig is like kind of what my dad had when he loves the business and it's like a part of him.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, man. It's just a good example of, I think that support local businesses really too, because it's like that person started something that was a dream of theirs, and it's like they're there because, right, man? Yeah. Like they're there because they're doing something that they love, or and I think that it feels better to support that kind of thing, and it also feels good when you are that person providing like a service for people and they're satisfied. Yeah. With
and that's outcome. Weirdly enough, this like ties into two things for me mentally. It's like it just like reinforces the fact that like you're doing things that are really honest with what you choose to put out, be it your music or your podcasting, your vlogs, like that's just you. You know what I mean? And you love doing that and it shows. And the other thing is like that other side of the coin with like attention being like a currency and like praise being a currency to some degree. And like weirdly, I find that people allocate that like currency toward things that they want to be praised for enjoying, if that makes sense.
Say that one more time.
Okay, to paint a picture.
Wait, say that sentence though.
People allocate that attention-based currency toward things that they want others to know that they enjoy, as a form of like, here's something about me, if that makes sense. To paint a picture.
I like your vocabulary.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I can tell you guys are related. But people will like outwardly show like vehement support for established artists. Like if people fuck with SZA or like these like the fandom of these artists, they will make it very apparent that they really appreciate this artist, right? And they will go to great lengths on social media, which is like a platform in which you could like virtue signal from home, They're like reposting all their stuff, like posting cool pictures, posting these aesthetic things of like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, like things that they want people to know that they appreciate. There's like an artist down the street that's doing really cool shit that you're not doing all that for. You know what I mean?
Oh, sure, right.
Like
right.
they're allocated
because you know that people know who this person is.
Exactly.
And you want to be associated with that.
You want to be associated with the image that they're projecting. That's why people buy designer things. That's why people.
Oh yeah, dude. That's like branding.
That's what I'm saying.
It's
that's why
people buy North Face. Why people buy Gucci.
That's why they curate themselves in this way, because they want to be associated with the mission statement of whatever they're, praising publicly. There is someone near you who needs that way more. And I think people could, should take care to realize that a bit more. And I'm not calling anyone out, you know what I mean? But that's a realization I had to make. Like, I love this, and that, but I'm not going to shout that from the rooftops when this is like a multi-million-dollar business. There's someone literally next door to me who's doing really fucking cool shit who no one is putting on that platform. Even though realistically, all of our platforms are not the biggest, you know what I mean? But every bit of that like attention currency that you allocate towards people who aren't getting it is, you know, a dollar well spent, so to speak. And I think people...
It's very hipster of you. I'm just kidding. I agree, though, with like as far as... I don't listen to popular music unless I like hear it in a retail store or something like that.
Yeah.
But there's something dirty that to me that feels like very overproduced kind of music that's made to reach a lot of people.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's why, like, when we were having that conversation in the car and you were talking about like your music philosophy and you were talking about how like you struggle sometimes with like recording things in a super professional space because it loses that like touch of like, I'm doing it myself.
Right.
Like, and there's a bit of like roughness to the edges of that is in, like beautiful. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that people appreciate because it's like, it's you, you know, not using auto-tune or anything like that. Like, it's like a very like honest representation of yourself. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
But you know, some people really want people to know that they like Steve Lacy. You know what I mean? They really want you to know that, hey, I like Steve Lacy. And again, that is no dig at anyone who likes Steve Lacy. I do. But if I had the choice to be like posting something and I could use a Steve Lacy song in the background of it, or just like post something that Steve Lacy posted versus posting something that like my friend who's making really cool shit posted.
Right.
I'm going to go that route every day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And mine just jumped to like, what if or when we get to the point of like being like Steve Lacy level, it's like, I hope people start like still fuck with us.
Yeah. No. That's not to say, again, this is not to say you can't like this person. It's like, if you know someone who's working hard to get to that place, put them on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, it's like my thing. It's like people who, you know, feed into like the turbo celebrity, and they really want people to know that they like being associated with this. Like, why repost everything that Drake posts? He's got 1 million people doing that for him. You know what I mean? This person next door to you.
Found that like a weird thing as far as like if you're somebody and you want to be associated or you want to be so much like Drake or something like that. You want to be so much like a certain person. And I really, really from a young age have always been a proponent and have been of just like my own individuality. And I think that comes from like being half Filipino. And, my dad coming from a small business. And I've always had these small differences compared to my peers. And from a young age, like, there were points where I was extremely insecure about it all, but there's also points where I was like, fuck yeah, like I'm like so me and individual where like it's cool.
That group think and that like that you know, conglomerate of people, this amalgam of voices that all point to this like central idea of like the right thing or like the popular thing can be incredibly dangerous. I remember being in middle school and thinking like, why the fuck aren't my eyes blue? You know what I mean? Why isn't my hair blonde and flippy? That's what everyone enjoys. Why am I cursed with these looks of mine? And now, you know, times have changed.
Yeah. You're the sexy one.
But you know
how your perspective changes like that.
Yeah.
But should we wrap this up soon?
Yeah. I mean, what has it been? An hour 52?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Any closing statements? Anything you want to plug?
Yeah, we're playing at Cactus Club this weekend. Saturday at Diet Lights.
Okay.
EP release show. I was gonna say at Cactus Club.
Yeah.
We're repeating.
Yeah. Same thing I did.
I do that in my vlogs a lot.
I think I was talking about Cactus Club too.
Yeah. No, it was. What was it? I feel like it was. I don't know. I don't remember.
We'll see.
Yeah. And then, so that's going to be really fucking fun. Also on Friday, I got a new song dropping that I did a collab with my buddy Dream Bay.
Right. I saw that earlier today.
EDM artist.
Yeah.
That's going to be really fun.
How was that? How was like
dude, it's cool.
Departure? Yeah.
It's super cool. It's cool hearing my voice on an EDM track.
Yeah.
And then it was sweet because we just worked like, I didn't even have a phone call or a Zoom call with him or anything. I haven't seen this dude in like a few years and we've always just kept in touch.
Yeah.
And we just kept sending each other back stuff. I wrote the lyrics and recorded vocals and sent them his way, and sent me over a mix, and then I don't know, we're just texting about it. It's sick.
Right on. Yeah, no, that's super cool.
And then just plugging along this week. Tomorrow seeing Channel 5, so I'm really stoked about that.
Man, I'm so mad at it. I'm so mad I
I'll
didn't
send
get
you videos.
Please do. I'm certain I'll see no shortage of it on the social media.
I'm curious of who's all gonna be there. I know Ian's gonna be there. I feel like cool people are gonna be there because
thanks.
anyone is gonna be there.
Yeah, no.
It's gonna be a cool crowd.
Yeah, I bet it will.
You might be able to find a ticket or two.
I don't know. I'd have to like finagle my way in
beat
there.
Ian up.
No, I would never. Ian could beat
on
my
his
ass.
birthday.
No. Well, he's got that strength. I don't want to mess with Ian.
He's got the secret strength.
He really does. He's unassuming on the outside, but I know he knows some. He's got some dark secrets behind them glasses. Happy birthday, Ian.
Happy birthday, Ian! And November 28th, we're doing the Yellow Weekend screening at Nose, which you should still come in.
I think regardless of whether I get a ticket, I'm probably gonna show up.
Yeah. I mean, Clayton could get you in or something.
I mean, I reckon I could probably just walk in and be like, I worked on the film.
Yeah.
I literally shot like some scenes in the film.
Right. I was thinking about doing that too. I was like, I'm literally
in
on the poster.
Like, that's me.
That's
yeah.
But
I'm in the credits.
Yeah.
So it is what it is.
Cool. Do you want to promote your Instagram, or you still want to stay low key?
I'll do it. Only because I changed the name today.
You did?
I did.
What'd you change it to?
I am the artist formerly known as thestreets.jpg. And now it is Mockingboard.
Mockingboard.
So like mocking, B-O-R-E-D.
B-O-R-E-D. Mockingboard.
Like mocking board. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Interesting. Cool. Why?
I love mockingbirds. I got a tattoo of a
mockingbird.
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 Yeah. Mockingbird. Yeah. Because,
Cool.
I'm bored sometimes and I love mockingbirds.
Nice.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah.
Any other reasoning behind the change? It's a big change.
It shouldn't feel like one though. You know what I mean? Like
your name's still not on there, I bet.
It's no. I tried. The only like super identifying feature of that is like my tag posts and God, it feels gross to say that even. But and like the little just like talking about it, like
yeah. But I feel like though at the same time, it's like we're all in it together.
That's true.
You're not.
It
serves
not
its
weird
purpose. For as dirty as it is, you just gotta kind of accept it.
Yeah.
It's like you got to change with the world, otherwise it's gonna change without you.
Agreed. Yeah, but it's
dirty.
The thing I'll leave you with the reason behind the mockingbird symbolism is growing up as someone who's half Puerto Rican and half black. A lot of that doing in Pewaukee rather, not Milwaukee. Being in a pretty homogenous town, majority white. It is what it is, I feel like, when you're a kid, you have like an innate sense of wanting to belong. You don't want to be an outlier. And I had to like mimic the people around me to be well liked. And mockingbirds mimic the calls of other birds, And I felt like I did that for a long time, but now I'm not. Like, I've always been obsessed with this like idea of like a mockingbird who's never heard another bird call. You know what I mean? Right. What does it sound like?
Yeah.
I know that they have their own bird call, but like, I'm talking like mystical
sounds
symbolism.
Like a frog or something.
Yeah. It's just like, what do I say?
Yeah.
Like, what does a mockingbird say when it has nothing to mock? Like,
yeah. Nothing?
Or something really cool.
Yeah. Or something really lame.
Yeah. Mockingboard.
Sick.
But yeah, Mockingboard, Instagram. It is what it is. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. I was happy to have you too, and I definitely want to have you back. Hopefully with a full band or something.
Fuck yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, whenever you get that. And hey, if you need help figuring out that like full format, you could hit up Sterling, audio engineer. Definitely help you out with that.
True.
But
do some Googling or something. Get the 5 mics.
Yes, sir.
And then move this table. I don't know how it'd set up the camera. It'd be sweet to have 2 cameras.
Yeah, I was lucky. Like when I was as I watched your podcast, and I was like, like because I have that fucking camera brain still. I'm like, okay, so like if you set up like a secondary angle here, because like realistically, you have a camera pointing at you. It's like totally. A medium shot of you, or like kind of close, tight shot, and then one for here, and then you can like cut back and forth between the three depending on like what the vibe is.
Easy, yeah.
So
it's on the to-do list
for sure. 3 cameras being set up too, it's like kind of a pain. Then you got to sync all 3 of them, and you're doing it on your phone.
Yeah. I mean, there'll come a day when I don't do it on my phone.
Right.
Maybe Nick is editing them. And
right.
I don't know. We'll get there when we get there.
Absolutely.
All right. Thank you, brother.
Absolutely.
And listen to Bug Moment. See them at where is that? Oh, Promises in Walker's Point.
Indeed.
On Friday. And catch them at their album release show in spring.
Yeah. And then listen to Parker. Listen to Social Sig, I should say. And be on the lookout for a new video and a new song that has some brass on it.
Yeah.
And I may have some live collaboration with.
Yep.
If all things go according to plan.
Definitely. All right. Well, thanks, y'all.
Take care.
Thank you, Eli.
Of course.
You, man.
Love you too.
Love you.